let's talk some college football, but link it back to the show here because there's breaking news as we read this on Tuesday afternoon on the East Coast. Ollie Connolly, noted NFL reporter and someone I've had exchanges with, no big deal.
I'm excited about this.
Bill Belichick has agreed to become the next UNC coach. It goes on here, but I want to get your initial reaction to that. If that is true, that Bill Belichick is ready to coach the Tar Heels.
I think it's a loss for a lot of great NFL organizations.
Me too, honestly.
That's that a move. And I think ultimately, I think we all sort of lose. And here's why. I'm not in any way affiliated with North Carolina. And
thank God.
No, I mean, whatever. I pull for him. But the NFL is a much bigger platform, and it's much more enjoyable to have Bill Belichick in our life on the NFL platform. I feel like he'll get lost in college football.
And it's also like the Belichick thing at this point.
I'm being selfish, by the way.
Is like we want to see him break the wins record, which the college wins don't count. It doesn't count towards that. So to me, it's like, well, from a fan perspective, again, selfishly, it's like, well, what's the point? I don't care about him coaching in the ACC.
And
I guess it's good to see him on the sideline again. And I'm a huge college football fan, so I want to see if it'll work. But I'd rather see him on the NFL record, man. He's like 72. This is going to be the shot.
I know one thing in my life, at least I can say this since I've been sober, that every wild decision I have made, there's been a female close behind.
I said on the show yesterday, his best recruiter for college football could be Jordan Hudson, his 4-year-old girlfriend.
Well, I mean, did she what is
and
her
apparently she is the business arm of Bill Belichick now. I know you've heard that. Like anything he's going through, it's going through her.
Are you being serious?
Yes, I'm being so serious. Like all the NFL film stuff and whatever show he's going on, like it's going through her.
Well, I mean, maybe she's managing that for like an assistant. Okay, that's different, Cam, than like that being like the last person he runs big decisions through.
It's either her or Matt Patricia. They just usher him around from place to place.
Joe, this is a mind-blowing revelation that you have just made here to me. And my initial reaction, I stand by that. I'm disappointed because I like how he's in our lives now. I really don't mind it. Like you turn around every corner, you see him, whether it's on McAfee or with the Manning Bros. And now he's going to be harder to find. And I really do believe.
Huh? The CW, noon Eastern. You can find him, baby. UNC versus NC Central, Labor Day Saturday.
Well, you will lose him on the CW on Inside the NFL. So there you go. You lose him in one aspect, you get him in another. The
North
CW
Carolina, Virginia Tech. Bill Belichick, the greatest coach in the history of the sport.
I did say this, and I think he could have great success. I think that when you look at the transfer portal, NIL, I think he knows that beast that he's getting involved in. 2, I also believe like recruiting will be
wait. Does he know the beast? Because I thought this initially too, but in the NFL, at least you were dealing in contracts, and now you're not.
Yeah,
that everyone's on a 1-year contract. That's a different aspect of this.
Well, and then that leads me to saying, just to kind of assist my point here, that there's so much we don't know about this. Like I'm sure that's stuff that he's inquired about. I'm sure that's stuff like with the stuff coming down legally. Like will schools be paying these guys in a year, in 6 months? And I think we will be moving. I think we're going to get better here. Like I think this is as bad as it's going to get, jailbreak style with players and how they're getting paid. But I wanted to say compensated, but I couldn't think of it quick enough.
Dang, I'm always talking about compensation. Let me tell you.
But
shout out to Small Rig from the Rogue Media Network.
But I do believe that he will be able to recruit. I think that parents. Whether it's a single parent home or a double parent home, I think that they'll be connected with Bill Belichick and his success. A lot of times they have a lot to do with the decision making. My mom just told me I was going to Richmond because she loved Coach Reed and because she loved the campus. Like, really? I mean, there's something to be said for that. If you get an opportunity to play for Bill Belichick, your parents are probably going to push you to go play. Number two, we got to remember, like, these guys don't do a lot of the recruiting. It's a lot of who they surround themselves with. That's why Brian Kelly still gets players, because I don't know who would want to play for him.
Dude, I said this on Locked On. This is a real quick before I get to my next point. I was like, does anybody like Brian Kelly? Like, I don't even know that LSU fans like Brian Kelly, and that's a great fan base, right?
Yeah.
But like, they're just like, he wins games. I don't know. I knew plenty of Notre Dame fans growing up. I don't think they liked Brian Kelly. You know,
they're not going to like him,
and he's an ass. Like in like almost the worst kind of way. Like most coaches can be asses, right?
Yeah.
But like he sucks. And
that's one guy. You know who else is
Everett Mass and pretending to be like from the Bayou. I couldn't get over that.
Another guy who stinks of that to me is James Franklin. Like, I'm just like, yeah.
Yes, that's not a bad point. Yeah,
you get douche vibes, dude. Like from both of them.
And meanwhile, Ryan Day actually seems like a nice enough guy.
Yeah, totally.
He doesn't win the big games, so it's tough.
All right, back to this. I can't
back to this report. Because the way I kind of saw this from the beginning in talking about the new landscape of college football is it actually might play right into Belichick's hands, because the problem that I think he faced last year in NFL head coaching vacancies, and the problem that he will face this year, specifically with the Cowboys when it comes to head coaching vacancies, is he needs total control. And now there's been reports the last week or so that he doesn't need full control, but we know Belichick's passed with that. I think he's coming into a job knowing exactly how much control he's going to have, and it's going to be a lot. And now, there's room for that in college football. There always was, but now there is that transfer portal kind of free agency kind of thing. So Ollie Connolly goes on in this report saying that Belichick handed the school a 400-page organizational Bible with structure, payment plans, staffing choices, etc. And the decision on whether to commit to UNC, he is expected to know their decision within 24 hours. So he has turned it on them. He says, hey, I'll come coach you, but here it all is. Read it and see if this is what you want to get into here.
So have they agreed?
So the report is that Belichick has said, yes, I will take this job, but here's the organizational Bible. Here's how it needs to work.
Has he been offered the job?
There's nothing that says in this report that he has been offered the job.
Cameron. So the way that
that's a pretty big development right there.
Okay, Cam. The impression
they've interviewed him twice, Pete. He's the best coach in the history of football.
And one thing I'll say, like, people are like, oh, he was talking to the chancellor. Well, like, to me, that's like the last dot of the I. Like when you're talking, it's like, it's like in our jobs or anybody, when you meet the GM, it's kind of like, okay, we want you to work here a lot of times.
And there is part of the report too that says there's already been pushback from a group of 13 trustees. So that could probably explain why he hasn't been formally offered the job. But to your point, again, 2 interviews and the chancellor, they want this guy. And now he's put out like, hey, here's what it's going to take.
I hope he doesn't get the job.
And by the way, this is not dissimilar
and I hope he ends up in the NFL. That's why
to what Kirby Smart did at, I think it was South Carolina, when he was first up for an SEC coaching job, and they said, we're not going to have the resources to do this, because he wanted to run a program like Saban did. And so when he did it at Georgia, when he said, hey, this is what it's going to take, they were like, okay, sure, let's do it. And I think that's a smart move by Belichick. He's obviously not a very dumb guy, that he's saying, if I'm going to come here, this is how it's going to work, and here's how we're going to win. But you want him in the NFL. I want him in the NFL.
Oh, dude.
I also don't want him roaming the sidelines in North Carolina. That's a personal thing. That is a personal vendetta. Yes, I don't want that. Although I could absolutely rock up to Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill with my cutoff Patriots hoodie. I would do that. I would sacrifice that for having to go to that place. But yeah, I want to see him in the NFL, and I think he's going to have options in the NFL this year. Don't you?
Yes, I think, unless, like, again, like, is there something we don't know? Like, has he heard from front office people who are affiliated with these owners that, like, you know, people aren't going to go for what he wants to do. Like, are these owners too egotistical that they can't? Now, I know, like in Philly, Jeffrey Lurie's not like that. Like if Sirianni had totally, and you can't tell me the Giants aren't thinking about.
That's the one I think about. Now here's what my problem with the Giants, though. If I'm an NFL owner, the only way I'm not going for Belichick is when I need to develop a rookie quarterback. Hear me out. Obviously, there's like if he has Josh McDaniels there, then that's a different story. Like you saw what he made Mac Jones his rookie year, and then all of a sudden McDaniels is out of the picture and he spits the bit, and he's not an NFL quarterback. So if you can bring McDaniels with him, that's a different story. But if I'm just saying, hey, I'm bringing in Belichick sight unseen, the rest of his staff, and we know how that goes. He might have Matt Patricia calling the plays as a DC. Like I don't love that.
Michael Lombardi will be the director of football operations.
Yeah, a guy who's been like writing books for 10 years. You do kind of know who's coming with him.
Your favorite ink, yeah.
And he's not going to lure away Jed Fish, unfortunately, who I think is a real good coach. But they asked Schefter about this on one of the shows this morning. That was like, hey, let's just say he says yes to UNC, and then a month from now, someone from the NFL is coming calling. Is he gonna what's he gonna do? And Schefter said, "Oh, I don't know. I don't think Belichick would ever do something like that." But it's like you got to factor that in.
Oh,
of course, the guy wants to coach in the NFL. And so outside of a few teams that are going to be drafting and developing a quarterback this year, like the Giants, like the Raiders, X, Y, and Z, name your pick of the other ones. But any other situation in terms of a team that feels good about their roster, or a team with cap space, or a team that just needs a little bit more to get over the top, I'm liking Belichick for that. That's why I like him in the Cowboys sense if you take out Jerry. Yeah. Like, is that team Super Bowl window closed? I think so, yes. But they've still got plenty of talent. And as much as we love to shit on Dak, he's a good pro quarterback. So I would take Belichick in a situation like Dallas, personally. One of us is still going, so I'm gonna keep going. I would love to see him coach the NFL because I would like to see him set the all-time wins record. But this UNC thing looks kind of legit.
Kind of legit. Kim, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, I know. You got me. We were talking about Dak and the Cowboys.
We didn't get to Dak. No, seriously, you were talking about Jerry.
If I take Jerry out of the situation, if I take Jerry Jones out of Dallas, which most Cowboys fans would want, I think that would be a perfect spot for Bill.
But Cam, and I'm usually I like to do the hypotheticals as well. You're not taking him.
I know.
So he's not
that was
go
just
to
an
Dallas.
example.
So cross it off. Cross that off. So like I would think the Giants would be a perfect destination. I think the Mara family has got to be like, we need like that. That is the perfect marriage right now. However, if Bill Belichick is
Belichick with Shedeur Sanders,
look, Bill Belichick with whoever the hell's going to be the next quarterback in North Carolina, dude.
I know. In college is different. College is different.
But look, like that brings me to my point. Like either he's come up with a major life decision, or he's been he's gotten some real interesting information that tells him that this would be the best move for him.
Do you think there is a money aspect to this?
I don't know.
North Carolina is not one of the big dogs, like the real big dogs in terms of NIL and everything. So he's working on a budget, and he's not going to be the highest paid coach in college football. But there's obviously some pretty good money there too.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, sure.
But he's also made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean,
he made a lot of money over the years.
He doesn't strike me as somebody
I don't think he's pissed it all away. He just coaches those kinds of guys.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who is all about the money, right? Like yesterday,
I wouldn't think so.
We saw the Soto deal, and it was like, okay, well, Scott Boras is linked to this, and Scott Boras will take nothing but the absolute most money his client can get. It's almost not up
even though there's more take home money with the Red Sox with their taxes. But hey,
but you know what I
didn't look into that.
Well, it doesn't make sense for him when
It doesn't make sense for Scott. No,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
No. So you see the overall number. So I don't think Belichick's going to get wrapped up in that type of situation. I'm a little upset that you kind of rope-a-dope me into thinking that this was happening, because it's not happening yet.
This is as good as a report as we've gotten, Pete. This at least, if nothing else, shows that he wants the job, which yesterday he was poo-pooing.
I thought yesterday that it showed to me that they were on the doorstep of something happening when he started talking about me. When you hear,
I think he'll be offered the job before the end of today.
You do well, and supposedly, right? Like the portal opened yesterday.
Yes.
So
they got to move.
Yeah, they do have to move.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.